MJF delivers his first comment since becoming AEW World Champion, but shockingly turns his back on William Regal, attacking him from behind. Speaking of returns last night, Hangman Adam Page is back in AEW. He confronted former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. The Elite strike their first victory in the Best of 7 series against Death Triangle. Bow Wow interrupts Jade Cargill on Dynamite. Ruby Soho is back after being on the shelf with an injury. Of matches announced for AEW Rampage on Friday. And Andrade lets us know when and where he suffered his torn pectoral injury. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling, especially after last night's edition of Dynamite, live on TBS, featuring a betrayal. The first comments from AEW World Champion MJF, but as I mentioned, what people are really talking about is what you can see right there, and that is William Regal being attacked from behind by Maxwell Jacob Friedman and the Custom Championship he unveiled last night. Let's get straight into this because MJF graced fans with his presence for the first time since becoming the AEW World Champion at Full Gear, and there's a new version of the AEW World title, and it belongs to Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who will now again walk alone after he laid out the man who helped him win the title in a surprise move for the first time since winning the title at this month's Full Gear, or now last month's Full Gear event. The new World Champion spoke on Wednesday's Dynamite and was accompanied by William Regal. After speaking for a while, he said the current version of the title was tacky, lacked class, and reminded him of all the men that held it before. He called it garbage and dumped it outside the ring before he and Regal unveiled the Triple B version of the title, the Big Burberry Bout, as can be seen in the pictures on the screen right now. MJF continued to speak, saying that he is now the special attraction in that special attraction category of wrestlers that fans should get used to reaching into their pockets to watch him defend the title only on pay-per-views. He then once again alluded to the bidding war of 2024 as he made references to WWE's Nick Khan and Paul Triple H Levesque, while also saying Hollywood could be the biggest bidder of them all. He later name-dropped Hulk Hogan, Jeff Jarrett, and JBL in saying his title reign would be longer than theirs and that he would have a reign that would, quote, make Bruno Sammartino roll around in his shitty little grave. Certainly got a lot of heat for that comment. Now, earlier in the promo, he referenced how he aligned with Regal, saying Regal sent him an email after the firm attacked MJF, where Regal suggested MJF not reach for the Dynamite Diamond ring, but a brass ring instead, also known as the brass knucks, that MJF was slidden by Regal that night. MJF said the two met behind closed doors frequently following the email, and that Regal was a genius, wanting Jon Moxley not just to leave without his title at Full Gear, but also with an emotional scar. To close the promo, MJF walked behind Regal and began to say, from the bottom of my heart, before hitting Regal from behind in the back of the head, which commentary sold as a serious neck injury as Regal lay on his face motionless. MJF ran Regal down again, referencing a deal with the devil before walking through the crowd to the back. EMTs, doctors, and Bryan Danielson tended to Regal in the ring, taking him away on a stretcher. After the break, they showed him being taken away in an ambulance. There has been obviously a lot of recent discussion regarding Regal's contract status with AEW, raising speculation that this is a way to close his chapter with the company. Now, Dave Meltzer spoke about this morning on Wrestling Observer Radio, and it kind of, to be honest, is my feelings on the matter, to be honest with you. So this is what he had to say, quote, when it was all over, I was just like, what's the purpose of this? Put so much heat on a guy who's leaving in William Regal. Moxley gets no revenge at all. MJF is turning heel on the guy who is heel, so the fans are so mixed up. And that kind of was my feeling on the matter, it must be said too. And again, it just leads to this more uncertainty about what's really going on. Now, it's worth keeping in mind that it was also reported last week that Regal is on a 3-year deal that has over 2 years left on it. Tony Khan has not been known for granting releases at all, so if Regal was to be let out of his contract, it would be somewhat surprising. So again, and it's kind of interesting that Meltzer there would refer to Regal as someone who's leaving. Me not being able to talk, I think, kind of sums up my feelings on this segment last night. First of all, I think the attack on Regal and the way they sold it, I think that was well done. In terms of an angle, in terms of the way they sold that, that was well done. Regal taking a bump. He's got 4 discs for whatever in his neck, which is a rarity. He's had 2 bleeds on the brain. He's had neck surgery. He's not cleared for physicality. So for MJF to hit him from behind, they sold that really well. That was well done. But the logic behind this, I'm just not sure if it's working. First of all, the promo by MJF I thought was at points overly long and a bit sort of drawn out. And it was only towards the end when they did this Regal angle that I thought, okay, good, they're starting to go somewhere with this. But the logic behind it just doesn't really jive with me. You've got a guy in William Regal who turns heel on Jon Moxley and gives MJF essentially the championship. Then that leads to MJF turning on Regal, basically saying, don't do a deal with the devil. So now what is Regal? Is Regal still a heel because he turned his back on the Blackpool Combat Club, but is he just turned back into a babyface? Because I think it would appear, from what I saw last night and the way they were sort of teasing things, that they're building to MJF versus Bryan Danielson, I would assume, at Revolution in late February, early March. I think that's where they're going with this one. So that's why we're going to have Danielson versus MJF. But again, the logic of this it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Are we meant to feel sympathy with William Regal now, or are we still not supposed to like him? Meanwhile, Jon Moxley told Regal, go away, never show your face here again. Regal did show his face. Moxley was nowhere to be seen because he was brawling with Hangman Page. We're going to talk about that later on. So Moxley just gets no revenge here. What does that do for Jon Moxley? Nothing really. And the story between Moxley and Regal, that's just that's not paid off at this point. And that could happen in the future, but it doesn't look like it will. So they're just moving to something else. The logic just felt a bit bizarre. And frankly, what I saw last night too, going back to MJF's promo, is I saw a guy that was desperate to have the people in the arena and at home booing him and not liking him. But you're going to have to face the facts, Max. People like you. They like your character. They like your shtick. They like you being, a bad guy. But they don't want to boo you. They want to cheer you. Throughout this entire process, since MJF returned at All Out, they've been cheering him. And I know there's pushback from him. He wants to still be a heel. He still wants to be a bad guy. But ultimately, it's the case in every single film, movie, and it's the case in pro wrestling. You can always get booed to a point, but eventually they'll start cheering you because they like that you're a bad guy and the bad guys are cool. And MJF last night, that promo, it just felt like attempts over and over and over again. I think on 2 or 3 separate occasions, he told the fans to wake up or boo or went for some cheap heat just to get them to boo him. But they don't want to boo him. They even liked it when he attacked Regal. Because they're looking at it going, look, this was the guy that screwed you over all those years ago, told you weren't good enough. And you got revenge. And people like revenge. People like you sticking the knife in the back of someone that didn't believe in you in the past. People like that. And people like MJF. And as I've said before, I know that there's a feeling of, but can this character work as a babyface? The answer is yes, and it's easy. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to change anything to make MJF a babyface. The one thing you need to change, it has nothing to do with MJF. It's all about the opponent. Change his opponents. Have him face heels. That's it. Don't change the stick. Don't change the promo. Don't change the wrestling style. Have him cheat. Have him swear. Have him run people down. And he can just be a babyface like that. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were exactly the same. Now, I'm not saying MJF is going to be Steve Austin or The Rock. My point being is I just never can wrap my head around it where suddenly they're like, well, if he's a babyface, he's got to smile and he's got to interact with fans. No, he doesn't. He can still be the same. But it's this pushback, and like I said, last night it just felt very forced. The whole thing felt forced, and at points is starting to feel illogical. And that's a shame, because last week, the promo exchange between Danielson, Moxley, and Regal, I thought was really well done. And I was excited to see what they did with MJF, if they still had him as a tweener, and him just being, this new version that we've seen. But it would appear they're trying now to make MJF a heel once again. And again, I just don't know whether it works. And when it comes to Regal, I don't know if this was an attempt to try and play in even more to this. What is Regal going to leave? Is he going to go? Is he going to go back to WWE? Does he have an out clause in his contract after a year, similar to Jon Moxley when he first joined the company? I don't know. But it just feels a bit, again, illogical. It feels like once again the storyline plans might have changed. And it feels like the direction they're going in is MJF versus Bryan Danielson. That's the direction. But as far as Moxley, he just nothing's paid off for him. He got betrayed. He told Regal to go away. Regal didn't. And now Moxley's doing something else. it's very convoluted and confusing to me. And I don't get the logic. Again, I understand the story they're trying to say of don't make a deal with the devil, and I got you wrapped everyone around my finger and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. Again, if this was a way to get to MJF versus Danielson, I guess that's the point. But yeah, either way, like I said, a lot of it just feels very convoluted to me. Hangman Adam Page, easy for me to say, is back. Hangman Adam Page is returned for the first time since suffering a concussion, and fans have been wondering when Hangman Adam Page would return to AEW programming. Now, he suffered a concussion after landing awkwardly from a lariat during a match for the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley on the October 18 edition of Dynamite. Wednesday night, though, we finally got an answer to that question. During the opening segment of Wednesday's edition of Dynamite on TBS, Page interrupted a promo by Moxley and made his way down to the ring. The two men stared one another down before Moxley took a couple of shots at Page. The brawl was on, resulting in officials and security coming down and pulling the men apart. This didn't stop them, though, for very long, as they were later shown fighting one another once again backstage. As the two men went at it, commentary put emphasis on the fact that Page was in Indianapolis, Indiana, so that medical officials could determine whether or not he would be cleared to return to the ring, and mentioned that they were under the impression that he had not been cleared. Or, I think it was something that Excalibur said, or he must have got cleared very, very recently. So it would appear that they're going to revisit this Moxley-Page thing, which is fine, because we never really got a definitive conclusion to it, to that world title match. I mean, is the beef that, Hangman Page got knocked out by him, which was clearly like an accident? I don't know. But it looks like we're going to get Moxley versus Page at some point. Maybe they have that match at Winter is Coming. But great to see Hangman back. Look, AEW's had a ton of injuries this year. And as of a couple of weeks ago, there was quite a lot of concern about the concussion that Hangman got. And considering, again, how that match ended, you cast your minds back, there was really a lot of concern about Hangman Page, considering they just stopped the match. So I would assume they're going to have the match again, but I would assume if they have the match again, the outcome's going to be the same, and that's Moxley winning. Moxley's very protected in AEW, as he should be. He's one of the top guys in the company, and now, with his new contract, one of the top paid guys in the company. So it's a good feud for Moxley to have coming out of this MJF feud, but I think the result will be the same as it was in that world title match, and that's Moxley getting the win. We have the Best of 7 series as the main event last night on Dynamite, and in the main event of last night's edition of the show, the Elite, that being Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, took on Death Triangle in their Best of 7 series. This was match number 3, with Death Triangle taking both matches preceding this one in the series. The Elite was entering winless. However, after a hard-fought battle, finally they were able to capture a victory and mark a continuation of the series that some fans have been very pleased with. The 4th match is scheduled for 2 weeks at the big special Winter is Coming edition of Dynamite. It's anyone's guess who will come out on top, but the Elite got the victory when Pac went for the Black Arrow. I think it was Matt Jackson got his knees up, hit into the already broken nose of Pac, knocked him out, and they got the victory. So I think there was a thought process that we might see a situation where, and it's always interesting to see what story they're going to tell whenever they do a series of matches. And I think some people thought we were going to see a situation whereby the Elite go 3-0 down, and then the final match is, every single match then it's like your back's against the wall, you have to win, it's a must-win match. But they're not going to do that, so I mean, they still could do that next week. We could still have the Death Triangle win, and then suddenly the Elite has to win every single match between now and the end of the series to win the Trios Championships, which I expect them to do. I expect them to win the Trios Championships. Or we could see a situation whereby, look, they win next week and it's tied up, and there's positivity, and then maybe Death Triangle get ahead. I'm not sure. The story clearly they're trying to tell is that Death Triangle will win if they cheat. And they didn't cheat last night. It was Rey Fenix who prevented his team from cheating, therefore they lost. So maybe next week we see a situation where Rey Fenix uses the hammer, and finally everyone on the team's now cheating, and they get a victory, and then the Elite's backs are against the wall. That kind of situation, I don't know. But no CM Punk references this week from the Elite. No CM Punk chants, really, and no CM Punk moves, which is a good thing. Now maybe we can move on. Maybe Kenny Omega has finally taken his own advice in that one. But I thought it was the match of the night, clearly. It always is. Every time they have these matches, they steal the show. So credit to everyone involved. It was a fantastic match. Jade Cargill had a promo last night on Dynamite, and she was interrupted by a celebrity as their social media feud boiled over. During her TBS Championship celebration, Jade Cargill was unceremoniously interrupted by a familiar face. Bow Wow interrupted Jade on the Tron to continue their feud. While his message remained vague, it seemed as though there was still more left to come in this developing storyline. After Jade said that Bow Wow was a total joke, he appeared on the Tron with a message of his own, saying he was done with his tour and now he had plenty of time on his hands, ending the clip with "see you soon." It appears we're going to get Bow Wow, an appearance by Bow Wow in AEW very, very soon, seemingly. I don't know what this leads to. I've seen a lot of people saying, are we going to get a Bow Wow versus Jade Cargill match, which I think would be tremendous. I mean, in terms of a match itself, I think the match would suck. Obviously, it's not going to be a classic, but the idea of this sort of intergender match and Jade Cargill beating the hell out of Bow Wow is a lot of fun. Or they could build to some kind of mixed tag, which is also a possibility as well. I saw some weird links with Bow Wow and then Snoop Dogg, therefore Sasha Banks coming in. I would be absolutely stunned if that was the case. I really don't see that as what's going to happen, but anything is possible, certainly. But I think we're going to get a Bow Wow appearance in person on Dynamite very soon. Again, maybe that will come at Winter is Coming in a couple of weeks' time. Ruby Soho is once again back on AEW television. It wasn't only Hangman Page that made his return last night. On last night's show, Willow Nightingale defeated Anna J. A.S. in singles action. Tay Mello accompanied her partner to ringside and helped her to her feet after the match before Ruby Soho made her return to the company. Now, Ruby has been off AEW television since she suffered a broken nose on the AEW All Out 0 Hour pre-show in her match with Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello. However, when Ruby appeared behind Tay, it was not the Ruby Soho that left. She instead was sporting green hair, the same as she did in her final months in WWE. So Ruby Soho is back, and seemingly she's going to be picking up where she left off in her feud against Tay Mello and Anna J of the Jericho Appreciation Society. So great to see Ruby Soho back. We have some matches announced for AEW Rampage this coming Friday. Rampage is back in its usual time slot. It's not live this time, it is taped, and an All-Atlantic Championship match has been added to this Friday's AEW Rampage, but it won't just be a regular title match. During Wednesday's Dynamite, QT Marshall requested time with both Tony Schiavone and All-Atlantic champion freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy after attempting to address him on several occasions but being cut off every time before he could do so. Marshall asked Cassidy for a shot at his title and Cassidy quickly granted it to him. Marshall said he didn't want it to be any old regular match but a lumberjack match. Before he could get any further though, Cassidy agreed to his terms, saying he loved it and it sounded great to him, so the match is official for Rampage. Now, it's not the only match that's been announced for Friday's edition of the show. Marshall's teammate in the factory, Cole Carter, will be going head-to-head with Darby Allin. That's, of course, after Carter attacked Allin a few weeks ago dressed as Sting. Private Party will be in tag team action as they take on Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, who will be competing in his first match on AEW television after his making his AEW in-ring debut at Full Gear. The AEW World Tag Team Champions, The Acclaimed, and Billy Gunn will be addressing the AEW fans, and Saraya will be sitting down for an interview with Renee Paquette, so we'll get the latest when it comes to Saraya in AEW as well. Finally, Andrade, he's on the shelf after undergoing surgery for a torn pectoral muscle, but he's now revealed on social media when he actually suffered this injury, or when the injury occurred. He tweeted out, quote, "This is the match where my injury happened. I leave you part of the match. You can't imagine in what movement we can get injured. It happened to me in the six-man suplex, almost starting the match, but I wanted to finish as a professional." Along with this, he posted a video of the six-man suplex that took place and a photo of his pec being bandaged up. The video was from El Idolo's match before the Casino ladder match, as he, Roosh, and Dragon Lee teamed up to battle the Elite in the first round of the AEW World Trios title tournament. El Idolo's team came up on the losing end that night, with El Idolo seemingly losing in more ways than one. There has been no return date set for El Idolo when it comes to the healing of this serious injury, and there's been no word on if he's officially suspended from AEW following his actions with Sammy Guevara and their backstage altercation. Before his injury, El Idolo had been with AEW since 2021 and picked up major victories over the likes of Pac, Cody Rhodes, and Darby Allin. El Idolo also had 2 opportunities to win the TNT Championship. However, he came up short. His most recent televised victory came on August 10 when he and Roosh defeated the Lucha Brothers. So that's when Andrade suffered his injury. Again, no timetable on when he'll be back. Torn pectoral muscles are no joke. Sometimes they can be 5, 6, 9 months. So I wouldn't suspect we see our Idolo back on AEW television anytime soon. But there you go, guys. That's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to, easy for me to say, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on the AEW news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.